Well, hi everybody, Father Alex here. Welcome to another episode of the Godcast. I am the Vicar of St Matthew's Church in Burnley. I'm the host of the Godcast, and I'm the author of this book, Our Daily Bread, From Argos to the Altar, which is available in all good bookshops and online. My guest today on the Godcast is Dame Andrea Jenkyns. Andrea is a former Member of Parliament for the Conservative Party. She's now a political commentator, has been on various news outlets, and recently she appeared on Have I Got News for You? So I do very much hope you enjoy this interview now with Andrea, and if you do, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, perhaps follow me on X at AlexDJFrost. But for now, enjoy this interview with Dame Andrea Jenkyns. Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast this week is Dame Andrea Jenkyns. Andrea is a former Member of Parliament for the Conservative Party. She's a political commentator and has recently been seen on TV news and one thing and another. Andrea, let's perhaps start there. How are you, first of all?
I'm good, thank you, Alex.
Let's just get this Have I Got News kind of news out of the way, really. I was wondering how you reflect on that experience. Are you bothered by it? Are you still bothered by it? What's your feelings?
Oh, what do you mean doing the show itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. It's really seems to a lot in the media about it. But I did get booed the moment I walked on stage before I even opened my mouth, which, look, I've done question time before, and it does seem to attract, people with opposing political views. So I wasn't surprised at that. But no, Ian Hislop was lovely behind the scenes. So I think quite often public perception is very different, as it is with myself, than what people see behind the scenes.
Of course, you're very experienced and well versed in kind of political criticism and whatnot. I suppose you knew what you were going in for.
Yeah, absolutely. No, look, I'm not a snowflake at all, and it's a satire program, isn't it? So, and I tried to give as good as I got, but the thing is, it's 3.5 hours recording, nearly 3.5 hours down to 29 minutes. So, unfortunately, not necessarily all your good lines get put in there, which is a
No.
shame. But they're not going to put everybody's in, are they? So.
Yeah. So you definitely do it again, I'm sure.
Yeah, if I got asked, that's the main question.
Well, I think if you're good value for money, which you definitely were, I think there's every prospect of you getting invited back, isn't there? Um, can I just turn to the recent general election,
Yeah.
Andrea? Just on a kind of, I've always wondered. I've never really asked. I've had lots of politicians on the Godcast. After a general election, when you have given your heart and soul, you've sweated, blood, sweat, and tears, kind of thing, for your constituency, and for that to be taken away, just share with people what
Yeah.
that period is like, actually, if you would.
Yeah, look, I'm pragmatic in life. I believe whatever gets put in your path in life, whatever God puts in your path, you're meant to deal with. And I've dealt with some horrific stuff personally. My mum dying of sepsis while at the same time my sister in a coma. So I think if you overcome stuff like this, then you can overcome anything. And I'm pragmatic. Yeah, I was sad because I loved helping people. It's the constituency and stuff I loved mostly. I had my jobs fairs, my health fairs, my pensioners fairs, helping people, and cost of living fair. I organised lots of different events in those 9 years. But you on the election night, I sort of got that feeling. We saw the results come through at 10 o'clock, the exit polls, and then I had an idea. I never go to the count first because I don't know, I'm a little bit superstitious really. I let my team sort of get a feel of how it's going so I can mentally prepare myself. And I got a call off my office manager, Will, who said, "We've lost Andrea." So I just mentally prepared myself. I had my sister, the one who recovered from being in a coma, and my best friend. And then I just put my big girl pants on and just made a as magnanimous speech as possible. And then the next day I'd updated my CV within 24 hours, Alex, and I was applying for jobs because, look, I'm divorced, single parent with a special needs child. I've got ADHD myself, and you cannot you've got to provide for your child. So the most important thing was applying for jobs then at that moment.
Yeah. And what do you miss most about it now you've been out of that arena for a few months?
It's the helping people. I mean, I never stopped helping people. I've done lots in the charities for charity before, but no, it was that aspect really, and having that voice. I mean, when I saw that Labour was cutting the winter fuel allowance, I mean, I didn't want to step on the new MP's toes, and that's why I stayed silent for the first couple of months. But when I saw that, I just felt it was so wrong, especially when money was going in different, like public sector pay rises, billions on the international stage on net zero. And I just thought we can't forget our pensioners. And I'd worked with lots of pensioners with my pensioners fairs over the years. And so the Age UK petition, I got a petition going in the constituency. I had a rally on my local high street. So that aspect, not having that same voice to stand up for people. I mean, I've still tried to make sure I've got a voice. That's why I've still been doing media since, because I want to make sure that people know that they can rely on me, even if I'm not a politician, to try and speak out.
Yeah. Did you think the defeat would be as heavy as it was?
Look, I mean, with my particular seat, it was similar in most seats. Turnout was very low compared to the previous election. I mean, the Labour candidate got 1,000 less votes than the 2019 candidate. So they got less votes, and turnout was low, but Reform completely split my vote in half. So that's how I lost as well.
And do you see a time where you put yourself back on the ballot paper?
I think it's too soon to say, Alex. I mean, my main priority is, looking after my little one, getting work, etc. But it's about doing something I'm equally as passionate about. I mean, I was very disappointed. I applied for a job with an animal charity. I've been an animal welfare campaigner for like 20 years. And I put my heart and soul into this. And that night before the interview, I was involved in a car accident. The taxi in London crashed. And so I was up till 6 a.m. in A&E with concussion. And I still went to the interview at 12, but gave a presentation, designed an advert for them, and they didn't even, have the courtesy to let me go through to the second stage when I didn't have concussion. So it's sort of like things like this. And what I'm finding actually, Alex, is people misjudge who you are behind it. I mean, I had one particular interview where the recruitment agency said, "Oh, you're a bit Marmite, aren't you?" And I thought, "Oh, here we go." So I think, being quite strident and passionate can put some people off. So it's trying to find that role which will harness these passionate qualities, really.
I do think after interviewing numerous politicians, and people can check out people of all political persuasions on the Godcast, that there is a real kind of, I think, a feeling amongst people that politicians aren't or are immune from real situations. And we've been chatting for 5-10 minutes, and I can already hear, the issues with single parenting, children with educational needs, the problems with your sister. People forget that behind these personas, if that's the right word, are real people. And I guess resilience must be one of your key strengths, is it?
Yes, and what I find, I mean, look, I've had over 8 death threats over the years, and I've got CCTV at my home. You see behind me, I've got the screen switched off, and people's pulled my fences down and things like this. And when you live alone with your child, it can be quite daunting. And there's just twice I've wanted to quit, actually, where I was sort of getting my hair done for my niece's wedding the next day on my high street, and the police contacted me. Someone's looking to blow you up. And I was in the hairdressers for that moment thinking, right, can I run? How can I make sure that the staff in the hairdressers are safe? And then I got a really terrible email early this year where it was sexually explicit about me and my child being raped by Hamas. And that moment, I did actually think, is it worth it, Alex? Because, I'm quite a tiger mum. My child is my life. I adore him. And so really maybe it's fate why I'm no longer a politician.
I think I'm grateful you share that, because I think people need to hear that as well. That and particularly after recent events over recent years where these heinous crimes have become realities, haven't they? And
Yeah.
very, yeah. Just final thing around the Conservative Party, really. We're left with two candidates now for leadership. Andrea, are you content with those two candidates? Would you have liked to seen something maybe a little bit more diverse or something completely different?
I mean, I was backing Pretty. Pretty's been a friend for years, and she's amazing. I mean, her birthday's the same day as my son's. She's a tiger mum as well. She never forgets his birthday, and she's a conviction politician. And to me, whatever anybody's political views, whichever wing of politics, I respect conviction politicians. And even those Remainers who, gave me a hard time, if they stand up for what they believe in, that's fine. It's just when they get abusive, like Steve Bray did. That's why I stuck my finger up at Steve Bray outside Downing Street, because he's been hounding me for years since my little one was in his pram with his big megaphone. And to me, you don't do that in front of a baby. So yeah, I think for me it was Pretty because of conviction, really.
I was going to mention the finger, that finger of you,
Yeah.
but because in a little bit, I want to just talk about the aspect of faith and how important that might be to you.
I mean, regarding the finger moment, actually, Alex, I mean, the ironic thing is I don't even swear, and I don't use my fingers. I never use the V's or the middle finger, and all my friends messaged me afterwards, what the heck's going on here? This isn't you, Andrea. And I think it was just the emotion intensity. People were booing Boris outside. There was Steve Bray there blasting out his Bye Bye Boris song. And I thought, look, you've got what you want now. Just let him make his goodbye speech. And it was aimed at Steve Bray, as I said, who'd been hounding me for years, every week for years, since my little one was in his pram. And it was just me saying, enough is enough, Ranny.
Yeah, I was quite endeared by it, if I'm being honest, Andrea, because
maybe it's a northern thing, is it, Alex?
Well, I don't know, maybe it could be, but I was talking to my congregation about the other day. I was preaching about, have you ever put your foot in it? And goodness me, I do it almost on a daily basis.
Yeah,
and I think it's good sometimes to see the kind of the reality and the humanity of people in certain situations. Quite often, the real conversations on my podcast are when the microphone's switched off and people really,
yes, absolutely,
let their hair down and tell you some of the things that perhaps they don't want other people.
I mean, I think as well, I've got ADHD, so I am very impulsive. So I do think, when I'm on TV or something, that does come out at times. I think it adds to my outspoken nature, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And Andrew, what was the driving force behind your kind of call into politics?
Yes.
No, I remember as a kid, I'm not sure how old you are, but I remember the miners' strike and recently been watching Sherwood about connected stories to the miners' strike. It really captured my imagination as a young guy. But what about yourself? Where was the kind of
Look, I'm 50, so we was probably during the same era, Alex. Are you an 80s pop star fan as well?
Absolutely.
All my Spandau ballets and stuff like this, yeah.
This is Depeche Mode here. These are my heroes.
Oh, I love Depeche Mode. Joy the Silence is still one of my favourite, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for me, look, normal working class background. I went to university as a mature student. I actually went straight into work at Greg's Bakery as a Saturday kid at 16. But my dad used to say, really, it doesn't matter where you come from in life, it's what you do in life that matters. And I ended up becoming retail manager, area manager, in charge of about 40 branches, lots of team members. And then my dad was also a madcap inventor, and he was over in Pakistan, seeing about potentially manufacturing there. And he gave President Musharraf my CD of songs. And 2005, I ended up flying out there as a store manager of Comet to perform out there for the Independence Day. So it's been quite eclectic, my career. And then I set my own record label up. I became a music teacher in schools. But so politics just didn't even figure. I used to vote. I mean, the first time I voted for Blair. Even though we're naturally conservative as a family, he seemed something new and different. I've voted conservative after that first 97 election. But and my calling, actually, as you say about the calling, was I lost my dad in 2011, and I don't have any political heroes. My dad was my hero. He came from a really difficult background, quite a poor background. All their siblings all shared one little room, etc. And when he died, the light sort of went out of my life. And he was very believed in faith and Christian as well, as I was brought up. And so what Mum and I did, I mean, I felt even those difficult moments, I thought I'm very lucky because for 38 years I had an amazing dad. Some people are not that lucky. So Mum and I channeled it into joining a charity as a trustee. And then it's through that I thought, if you want to change healthcare policy, because literally trainee doctors practiced on my dad for 2.5 hours on a routine 10-minute operation, and he caught MRSA and died. The hospital room was filthy. It was all very unexpected. And then I campaigned for compassionate healthcare, and that's how I sort of fell into politics, really. I've seen myself more of an accidental politician in a way.
Gosh, Andrea, just listening to you, I see some of the similarities. I could plug my book, August to the Altar, working in retail for 20 years. And,
oh, wow.
And also my dad being my inspiration, who I lost to dementia a few years back.
Oh, wow.
But, and also your comments about, compassionate care as well. I've spoken quite publicly about a need for compassionate care. One of the things, I mean, I very much enjoy the political commentary platforms. I don't have any loyalty to anyone. I find one that's interesting, whether it's talk radio, whether it's GB News, whatever. But I do think it's set up for kind of argument, isn't it? It's set up for me against you, you against me, and it's normally about policy. It's not all really about particular situations, And we're dealing with, just recently, Andrew, we're dealing with a real crisis, I think, in Burnley around ketamine use in young people.
Yes, I've heard stuff like that.
And this is what I want to be talked about on GB News, because in recent days I've had some appalling accounts from mums of teenage kids that are hooked on ketamine. What do you think it is about the news platforms that they like that me against you kind of pose a role? And let's talk about ketamine abuse. Let's talk about drug abuse for half an hour. What is it, do you think?
I agree with you. It all seems to be gotcha moments, doesn't it, really? But Parliament is set up in an adversarial way, isn't it? The chamber is. So I think naturally you get people with opposing views, and I mean, I've worked with Labour on animal welfare stuff, so to me it's about the issue as well. But no, I mean, media, it would be lovely to see some more positive news stories, because they don't always make the news, do they, really, either? And I think that, as my dad used to say, it's good to have that candle of hope in life. No wonder people are so depressed. We need positivity in there as well. And maybe I've added to it by being so strident on things, but we do need more positivity. And as I said, I mean, when I've been in media myself, especially when I've done the BBC, not just this recent thing, there's been too many gotcha moments, and you're talking over you, so you don't get to the real nub of the story, which matters. And I think that's a shame, really.
Yeah, maybe it's this need for 24-hour news. I'm not
sure.
It
could be.
Yeah. And just returning to the political career, so you said you voted for Tony Blair. What led you down the Conservative pathway? Particularly, Andrew, because you say from a working class background.
Yes.
I'm from Burnley, very working class, not historically attributed to the Conservative Party. It was during the Brexit vote, but has returned to Labour control. What was your thinking behind that?
Yeah, I mean, Mum and Dad were Conservative. My older sister, Conservative. She was an activist way before I ever was. She's been a mayor as well. But no, I mean, for me, Blair was just, I mean, gosh, what was we, 21 or something, 2021 in 97. And Blair was something different, wasn't he? He was a great communicator, hence why I voted for him. But no, I mean, naturally, I'm a Conservative with a small c. To me, I'm very traditional. And I'm also, it's about family. I'm against the assisted dying. I think that should actually, God should decide. I've got quite strong views on abortion as well. I think we're far too liberal with our abortion laws. And so and it's about pro-business as well, Alex, because businesses, they, actually keep the economy going. They help lift people out of poverty. They provide employment. So I think naturally I'm a conservative. But back to your earlier question, which you said you're gone to, faith has always been a big driver for me and my family growing up as well.
Yeah. And again, chatting to politicians, there is quite a strong community of Christians in Westminster, aren't there? And I know that there is a daily Eucharist, I think, before.
Yeah.
How has that and how does that influence your kind of daily life? How important actually is it to you?
Well, I mean, if I just tell you a bit about my upbringing, my mum and dad was amazing. Mum was not necessarily not she was a Christian, but not somebody who's over there and practicing. But my dad, I mean, I remember growing up. I mean, I'm the youngest of three siblings. There's like 9 years and then nearly 11 years between me and the oldest one. And I remember growing up, and Dad used to talk, and Mum and Dad, we used to talk about things such as, do other beings exist in the universe, about different planets. We talk about different religions. My dad even read the Quran in English. We spoke about Judaism. We've been to Shabbat ourselves. Took Shabbat on a Friday together. Dad and I did. So we've always had that kind of belief. And Dad used to always say on his business cards, my late dad, it used to say, "Use God as your steering wheel, not your spare wheel." And no God, no peace. As in no, as in no, and then KNOW, no God, and you'll know peace. So we've sort of brought up with that. And if anything, I think my siblings and I, it's given us resilience that whatever's put in your path, like I said earlier on, it's looking at what can you learn from this? How can you be that better person? And how can you grow? And my 7-year-old son, especially because we lost my mum, we lost his little dog, when in the last couple of years, and he's had to understand that. So talking about heaven, etc., and he talks to Nana, I'm thinking of you, and I'm trying to foster that really sort of belief in a way, and I think it helps with the healing process. And he also prays as well. I get him praying, and we don't go to church every week. It might be once every 6 weeks. And because of his ADHD, he finds it hard to sit down, so he goes in the play area. But no, it's very much a part of my family life in a way, Alex.
Yeah, it's fascinating to hear you talk about it. I'm really intrigued by in America with their election coming that God is on the agenda quite frequently. But here it seems to be an unwritten rule that we don't talk about it in politics.
But that's sad, don't you think? Because to me, look, there's so much mental health problems around, and I think if people had faith in whatever religion, it can be a way to get that inner peace and trying to understand the workings of life and the challenges, really. And I think that's a shame. I think politicians should be able to talk about it. And this is one reason, actually, Alex, that when you emailed me, so thank you for that, I wanted to come on your podcast, so it was an honor to come on.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. But yeah, I agree with you. It should be on the agenda. I didn't vote for any political party, and when people ask me, it's because I don't feel anybody truly represents me as a Christian.
Yeah.
No, I do believe it's not just your way or my way. I think there's another way, and for me that is the Christian way. And I don't think people should be ashamed to talk about that and be given an opportunity to explain what that means. What that means,
I agree, and also I get quite frustrated that that it feels like Christianity is being cancelled sometimes in our country, and we see councils not celebrating Christmas and they're calling it a different name, and that's really sad. We wouldn't do that with other religions, Alex, and I get so frustrated over it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the sooner the Christian topic is allowed to be received intelligently, because I think also my criticism of media is we go to the extremes, don't we? So we go to the, there are certain people, I won't name them, they have been on the Godcast, who are people of faith, but are of the extreme, and I don't think that's always helpful. I think it's to have a sensible, moderate conversation is really important. So I'm really grateful for you sharing your your religious kind of connections and what it means to you. And I think it's important for people to hear that as well. Just mindful of time, Andrea. I'm just thinking about some of the hot potatoes that are going on in the political world at the minute. Obviously, we've got the new government, and Starmer's just, don't know if celebrated is the right word, but he's had 100 days and a few extra. Do you think his well, I think, to be honest, Andrea, the question I want to ask you is, do you think Nigel Farage could be the next Prime Minister of the country?
I mean, I think that stranger things have happened, haven't they? I mean, look at politics since just before Brexit. You know, it's I think one thing's for certain is the uncertainty of politics, and so I'd say don't rule it out. I mean, I think people are getting buyer's remorse with Labour, and my email address is still open until the 4th of November. And I've had so many emails, Alex, of people saying they wish they hadn't voted for them. They're disappointed in so many different areas. And the hypocrisy over the sleaze stuff, you can't do as I say, but not as I do. And so I think I'd be surprised if they win the election, the next election. However, if the Conservatives and Reform can't work together in some way, they will win the election, because we've seen with smaller parties, it's quite electorally difficult to form a majority government. So I think that they're going to have to work together if we want to sort of ensure we don't have a socialist government.
Yeah. And just on the issue in the Middle East, Andrea, I've been feel very blessed to have been twice on pilgrimage to the Holy Land. It's a very
I've been as well. Yeah.
It's a very important place for me. And by going, my bishop said to you, it will change your outlook on life forever. And it really has. And I'm desperately sad to see what's happening there. And I don't really see much end in sight. And you have people with Palestinian flags, you got people with Israel flags. I kind of want to have a flag of Israel and a flag of Palestine.
It's the hatred there, what I find, and the disrespect in Britain, actually, when it was the anniversary of those abhorrent murders of the Israeli people, and the pro-Palestinian lobby decided to have a march on that same day, and and the anti-Semitism. That's what I find really difficult, Alex.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming, Andrea. It's been lovely chatting to you. What's
thank you as well.
What's the future? You got some more news shows coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I've always got GB News bits coming up here and there, and I do Jeremy Vine once a month, and so let's see what comes up, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to plug my book, Andrea, as your next retailer. There it is. August to the Altar, Our Daily Bread.
I'm going to have to buy that from a retailer to a different route.
Well,
is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It's published by HarperCollins North. It's forwarded by Alistair Campbell, of all people.
Oh, brilliant.
He famously came on the Godcast and said, I don't do God, but I do the Godcast. So,
wonderful.
Gave me a great strap line. So, Andrea, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Wish you well. And we send love to Burnley to you wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to you. All the best. And good luck with the book.